Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by Mana Traders as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? We've had some time to finally get recovered from Chicago and all the news from Magic, so we got a lot to talk about this week.
Ruben Bressler.
That's right. Apologies for not having a show last week. I failed to pack my plug for my microphone. So I had my microphone and I had my headphones and I couldn't plug it into the laptop. So I will take the blame for that one also.
I swear. Well, either way, if you missed our pre-show, which included Aaron Campbell this week, patrons get access to our extended version right after the show. I put it right up. Thanks to the wonders of YouTube, I just get to plop out a link for you guys. And we kick it off with our first pick, which I think, while I have Spider-Man here, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man, we really have to do the recap of Chicago for both y'all, because it's been since Pro Tour, Chicago MagicCon has happened. How are you guys feeling? How'd the event go for you? What happens now?
Man, let me just say, like, anybody who still wonders if doing MagicCons is a good idea, like, you need to just get on board. Like, there's 20,000 people showed up. Literally, I had people come to me from Brazil and we're like, oh man, we watch your stuff all the time. And like, their son had just graduated, so this was like a gift for him or whatever. And like, it's just awesome. The people you get to see, like the panels that are going on, all the cool new stuff that gets previewed. Like we had D&D stuff there this time. I mean, there was plenty to do. And plus, like the cities they're in are nice. Like there's lots to do even in Chicago. If you want to go out and grab a meal, look at the city. I stayed down in the theater district this time just to check out a different part of town, and that was cool.
Nice.
So yeah, man, just tons. And to spend a lot of time with Ruben. So you know.
I mean, it was the biggest ever, right?
Every MagicCon is basically the biggest ever now, which is wild.
I will point out the two things that I heard that were not good because they are very brief, and then I will espouse all of the great virtues of this MagicCon that was Chicago. The first is we had this weird upstairs downstairs situation where the competitive play area was on a whole nother floor, and it felt like you were in the basement, and it wasn't as nice, and it wasn't as well cared for. People did not enjoy that.
I have to interrupt though. Like you're not selling it well. Like that place was cavernous. If you ever wanted to use the word, you could have.
It was like a cavern for sure.
I think for real, you could have probably set like 7 to 8K worth of gamers down there.
Yes.
Like it was a massive space.
Wow. And they only use it for the Pro Tour?
No. Pretty much any type of, well, I guess open gaming and stuff there, because a lot of Commander players were down there. But yeah,
the PTQ was down there. All of the open events were down there. The competitive stuff was in that second room.
I see.
The Pro Tour, which is my second thing, was in the lobby. It wasn't even in the main room. They put it in front of the room, which I liked from a display standpoint. But from what this could be apocryphal. I didn't talk to a ton of Pro Tour players. But the vibe I got was that they felt, first of all, entirely disconnected from the rest of the MagicCon, which is kind of unavoidable if you're playing in a major tournament.
Yeah.
But that it was kind of a weird vibe. Not that it was uncomfortable, not that it was bad in any way, but that it was odd.
You know what's funny though? Because they did that last year as well for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think it's a good idea. Because one of the things people talk about is like not having the Pro Tour front and center, and enough people don't pay attention to it or whatever. And this way, it's like you walk in, you see the MagicCon 2025 sign or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, 50 feet beyond that, there's a Pro Tour.
It's the Pro Tour.
Right?
And it's quieter. It's quieter than the main room.
Yeah.
That's it. That was all for like bad feedback I heard. One piece of rough bad feedback and then one piece of questionable. The rest of it was great. This year apparently was the first time that they used the theater space, the attached theater.
I forgot about that. Was beautiful.
Which was 4,000 seat theater, usually used for stage performance and things like that. And every panel was packed. The preview panel was packed. The cosplay panel was packed. The live play was packed.
Realistically, to piggyback on that, I don't know if anything had less than like 70% full seats.
Yep. Game nights was out the door.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was spectacular. And even the side panels in the side rooms, which were more like 200 or 300 seat, they felt more like classrooms to me, for like screening movies and stuff. So they did something like a Manning cast for the Pro Tour coverage where Tannen Grace, Andre, not Andre.
Is that not his name?
Hold on. I'm getting there.
Well, they had Mengucci in there too.
Mengucci. Yes.
Yeah.
Mangucci, and I was trying to name the middle guy, but I'm not there. Anyway, I remember Tannen because Tannen's my bestie. But they were doing like a Manning cast style coverage of the top 8 on Sunday. That's also where they had like the Scry Babies game, and they had the Commander at Home game, and then they had other panels with like Loading Ready Run and stuff like that. And all of those were also packed, and those were tough to get into too. All of the programming seemed to go over like gangbusters. I spent the majority of my time in the creator area, and I spent the majority of my time just talking with people. I was busy the entire 3 days. I played 2 games of Magic and 1 game of D&D all weekend. The rest of the time was me just kind of hanging out and watching panels and introducing myself to people who, maybe watched me 10 years ago on TV. And, it was really nice getting to catch back up with this community at a live event, because I haven't gone to a MagicCon since the first MagicCon in Vegas a long time ago at this point, a couple of years ago at this point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Kind of to your point, I've had people ask me, even throughout the weekend, like, how many games did you play this weekend? I literally played 1. And they were like, that sucks. And I'm like, no, I'd rather that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was spending time meeting people. I had a meet and greet. I talked to some vendors about some possible deals. I talked with other creators about doing some content. I just got to see some new stuff, set through a couple of the panels. Like, it's just like experiencing things and staying busy more than just playing. Now, some people, they showed up, they would just want to play Magic all weekend, and that's cool. You could do that, right?
Yep.
For me, it's like this is a chance where I will get to see people that aren't just stats on my analytics, right? I can actually meet the folks.
Yeah.
I can set up stuff with other creators in person, or we had conversations just about, okay, hey, how is this working for you? Or like, oh, hey, here's this new thing. How are you recording things? Or
Right.
How are you getting brand deals or whatever, right? A lot of those conversations were happening. So that's the other cool part about it is you can literally just stay busy talking to folks, networking, getting stuff signed, whatever, and never play a game of Magic even, which sounds crazy to people, but there's a lot to do.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it's hard to kind of explain, because you're like, wait, you were just there to do the Magic. You're like, no. There's lots of stuff involved here that's not just playing games or whatever. All right, well, that's great. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I got to watch some coverage from home, and that was dope as always.
Let's briefly talk about the performance that Matt Nass put in this Pro Tour.
The absolute point, the best part of the weekend was the Pro Tour finals, and Matt Nass is just counting and then putting his head in his hands and then count. I swear to God, I think he counted like 6 or 7 times.
Dude, I would have done the same thing though.
And he had,
but look at that board state.
He killed it from 52. He got
from 52, and he needed all but 4 of it, I think.
Oh, he needed all of it. He had.
Did he need all of it?
Because he had to use so much for Zer to activate all the enchantments.
Right.
He had to use another one to actually get rid of the blocker, and he used every bit of his mana that turn to do every last bit of damage, and it was exact, and it was amazing. So that was awesome. Loved
absolute masterclass, undefeated in standard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's incredible when it comes down to, if you put the right deck in his hands, he is a bulldozer. He's a juggernaut. He is a closer. Incredibly well deserved.
He seemed to be one of those guys that, unless you were entrenched in the Pro Tour or like competitive Magic culture, you may not have actually heard his name or known who he is, but he's been around the top tables regularly for years.
Oh, yes. When I was funny because I was watching it, and I think it was after day 1, and he crushed it, and they showed him his name or maybe an interview or something, and she was like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Matt Nass." I'm like, "He can win this thing. He's incredibly good at Magic." And then he just steamrolled everyone. I was like, "Well, remember when I told you, honey, he could win everything?" Well,
he won back-to-back Grand Prix.
Yeah,
that's
dude's not a nobody. He's not a slouch.
Right,
guy's incredibly good at what he does. So
that was well done there.
And kudos to the coverage team. They did well.
I want to add just one thing just while we're doing the main show. The big thing that D&D added. There were two big things that D&D coming to MagicCon Chicago. This is the first MagicCon where we had Dungeons and Dragons officially partnered. I'm wearing my favorite D&D Snuggie that they sent me a while ago.
Nice.
Two things, two big parts. One is the vibes. The vibes were immaculate. The learn to play area for Dungeons and Dragons, where you could play a 20-minute session and just pick up the rules. Awesome. The pinball machine, the new pinball. First of all, great pinball machine. Incredible work.
It's been a long time since I've seen a pinball machine that I'm like, I wonder how much this costs.
Yeah.
like for real.
Because you like choose a character class. You like build a character as you're playing.
I have video somewhere. I wish I had it.
Where is this? Is this?
But
it's the new D&D board game or a pinball game.
I'll put up a short later if people want to see it. Just go follow me on like YouTube because I actually played with my phone up so you could see the thing.
Yeah.
But what's cool is normally how you have like the screen at the top, which usually like some LEDs or whatever. This is a fully digital screen where you're like choosing, do I want potions or do I want spells or whatever? So if I get hit later, I don't die or whatever. I get like an extra bonus, and you can choose your adventure path and like what type of monsters you want to try to fight. Like,
yeah,
there's literally decisions being made while you're playing, like you're playing an RPG. But obviously, where you hit the ball decides like what you get to choose or whatever on the actual playfield.
Is it from the link I just posted in our Discord? The Stern pinball new D&D
Yes,
machine?
it is. It was a Stern display.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Because these like $5,000-$6,000 or something.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, they have to be
a great pinball machine. Anyway, the vibes. The creators are all great. They're super effusive. They're super nice. Having live play that you can play with creators in the creator area was also awesome. But one of the big pet peeves we've had, and we've talked about this in other contexts, is that they have this main stage set up at these big Magic events, and sometimes it's just not in use. When you have D&D at your event, that's never an issue. You can always put another 2-3 hour live play on your main stage. So 3 days, all weekend, the entire stage was used.
Nice.
Right. So we did have like the game nights. We had the game nights live. We had the preview panel. We had the cosplay showcase. But then we could also fill it out with all this other games content, including a huge Baldur's Gate 3 actors live play show as the headliner on Saturday night. So it was a really great addition, and I hope they bring D&D back, not only for myself, but in general.
Also, a couple of shout outs. One to Commander at Home with Brian and Olivia, because I was going to go to their show, and I'm like, I'll go support them just because they're friends or whatever.
Same.
I was probably number 200 in line. I just went, nah, they're good without me.
Yeah.
They got this. I'll go do something.
Out the door.
Okay.
Out the door.
Yeah, they're going to need to be a stage show next time. Like, genuinely. They had a line down and around. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And for coverage, especially having worked with her, man, Maria Bartholdi, like, y'all don't even know. Like, she's
an
amazing.
Absolute pro. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the best.
She is a literal Emmy winner. Like, I mean, she's good at what she does. Like, anybody who hates on her, I'm like, y'all just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, when she is no longer around to do coverage, you're going to feel the difference.
Yeah,
for
goodness.
sure.
All right, let's move on here to Gather the Townsfolk. Thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_08V, that's 08 Victor, for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you, and we appreciate them being part of the show, because it's time to talk about Spider-Man. It is time for the spectacular, awesome Spider-Man stuff. We showed some Spider-Man stuff out, and look, if I hear this one more time, look. I love, no doubt about it.
3 looks.
I love so many of our wonderful content creators, but if I hear someone go, well, they just talked about X, why are they talking about Y? When we have been over this so many times, you understand? You understand how many times they have to show something early because of distributors and distributor orders? And then they switch back because there's so many products they have to do that they have to do it this way. And this one in particular was because they're releasing, like, it was the first day of the toy fair and Spider-Man had something to do with it, or Spider-Man products, and this was one of them. So cool, awesome, whatever. I can't with that whole, like, why are they not talking about Tarkir? It's like, dude, you know,
like, don't get me wrong. I would love to have them talk about Tarkir first, right?
But they did.
We also have to understand once you get into convention season, like they have to be showing stuff off at the conventions, right?
Yeah.
They have to get people hyped about stuff. People are going to come by the booth and talk about things. Like they want to be a headliner, so they're doing presentations so they can show off stuff and they need things for you to be excited about. So once we're in that phase, that's just going to happen. Basically, every time there's a MagicCon, they're going to talk about the next 3 sets, whatever they are.
Sure.
Like that's just going to be a thing. Same thing here. It's Toy Fair. You got to talk about one of the most popular brands, and it's going to be Marvel.
Yeah.
So you got Spider-Man coming up. It kind of makes sense.
So,
it's just rational business.
Right. So we got some cool like artwork shown off like right here. It comes out September 26th this year, which is a couple days after my birthday, so high five. It seems super sweet. I love the set symbol, the expansion symbol of the Spidey face is great. The special guest type thing is like the spider itself, and I don't know how this Marvel MAR expansion is going to be exactly.
Yeah.
I guess that's just another bonus sheet of some sort. I don't know. We'll see it when we get there.
Maybe commander cards?
Something like that. Eternal set legal codes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because there are no commander decks, remember? There's no commander decks for Spider-Man,
Right.
which is, I still don't understand it. Honest to God, makes no sense. But either way, they go over stuff like, hey, the MSRPs, right? Because this is another thing that kind of came to light over the last couple of weeks is that the Universes Beyond sets are going to be more expensive than the not Universes Beyond sets.
Right.
Why did we ever think it was going to be different?
Because I think, were they not that much different for for example, Warhammer, right?
Well, so
Warhammer was just commander decks.
Right. So this is the first time we're getting a Universes Beyond standard legal expansion. I think that we had just assumed that all standard legal expansions were going to cost the same.
Oh, my dear summer child.
Well, that's what, listen, man, I'm not saying that was me. I'm saying that was what the assumption was.
I literally just assumed it's Universes Beyond set, so they're going to be priced like Lord of the Rings packs.
Right.
Like, that was literally my thought.
Right. I mean, for me, I think it's very simple to explain that these sets do take more time and effort to make. There's way more, loops and hoops you got to jump through over and over. And secondly, there's a license involved. Which
exactly. Capitalism says you're going to make your money. And if you have to pay for a licensing deal, whether it's a flat fee or a percentage, you're still going to make your money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if that means booster pack's got to be $1.50 more, or they're going to be $1.50 more.
Yeah.
Now, I think
it is going to do something weird to standard. Given that some packs are more expensive than other packs, but I don't think it's going to have a super dramatic effect.
Actually, I have a theory, and because I was talking with somebody about this over the weekend, well, at Chicago, because there was a window of time where our store sold a bunch of anime stuff, and I remember even then realizing that if we had something that was new, hot, or rare, people that were fans of the anime, it didn't matter if it was Rurouni Kenshin, Cowboy Bebop, Dragon Ball Z, Final Fantasy, whatever. It didn't matter the price; they were going to buy it.
Yeah,
sure. Right. It could be crazy rare wall scroll, some like cloud sword on a keychain that's super rare, whatever. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of, where the fans coming in are just going to buy it, because these same people will buy collectible packs that you can't play a game with for $5 or $6.
Well, let's pivot over here for a second here to Final Fantasy, because you made a fantastic point about that. So let's put it in perspective. First of all, right now, from what I can say, I checked this right before the show. Right now, $600 plus collector booster boxes are pre-sold right now. As I believe on the earnings call, if I recall this correctly, on the earnings call they said Lord of the Rings bundles sold out in about a week. Like they pre-sold what they had on Amazon. It took about a week. It took like an hour to do that for Final Fantasy. Like it destroyed. Like it's crazy. Like we don't even understand. So when they show you these prices of a collector booster, and it's nice that it has MSRP, that doesn't mean anything, because there's going to be collectors that are going to go absolutely bananas for this stuff, and it doesn't matter. So that's cool. But like this whole like sticker shock from these other properties, when Avatar shows up, it's going to be the same thing, guys. It's not going to be any different. We've been here before. We know what this looks like. So there's that, and that's cool. And they got to show off some cards because they're doing like a scene box, and it's got 6 cards, and these cards are like, they're not meant for standard play, but okay, so that's fine. But yeah, so we got to see the sensational Spider-Man, which I thought kind of led you to see like, hey, Spider-Man might have stuff to do with stun counters, right? That's how he's flicking his webs around. He's going to do a lot of stun stuff, which is cool. There was some discussion that the Green Goblin is actually a goblin, whereas, and why isn't Doc Ock an octopus? And I'm like, do we really need to explain why one in the Ultimate Universe is an actual goblin, and one has
Yeah.
mechanical arms, which doesn't make him an octopus. That's weird. If my grandma had
I
a
actually
she'd get a
appreciate that
bicycle.
Green Goblin is a goblin human.
Yeah,
Right?
goblin
That's
human,
even
yeah.
better than him just being a goblin, honestly.
Yeah, and then Spider human hero for Spider-Man because he is part Spider. His DNA is part
Yeah.
Spider, and Maro goes on to this, in his blog talk if you want to read more. But the fact that like we got cool pumpkin bombs that the Green Goblin's tossing around, which is dope. Doc Ock is making 8 robot villain tokens or whatever, which is awesome. And hell, Venom is chomping and eating stuff out your graveyard, any graveyard, to do great bonuses. And so they're a little bit pushed in that they're not meant for standard play, but they come together as like a really cool mural. I've got it on the screen right now if you're watching us.
These are the tableau guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with the Lord of the Rings stuff.
Exactly what they did with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I think that's shown to be, successful and awesome. And this looks to be a fun bunch of cards to get us kickstarted here. I mean, hell, we already had the one Marvel Secret Lair. But, they showed us off a little of the actual products, of course. Collector boosters look rad and whatnot. Now, the collector boosters in Spider-Man, even though it's Spider-Man, I think it's going to be super awesome. It's no Final Fantasy. Like, I don't see Final Fantasy or, Spider-Man doing the $600 collector booster boxes.
No, but I do think they could be $400.
It's possible, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you're going to have your models.
I think at the end of all of it, you're just going to have more what we'd call probably invested players are going to be buying more singles, whereas the more the people coming in because of the actual fandom of that universe are going to probably be buying more sealed product.
Now, here's what I am sort of most excited for in terms of the product release, is that they are going to replace the welcome decks with Spider-Man welcome decks. So you can go and get a 30-card welcome deck from your local game store for free. You tell your buddy who likes Spider-Man, hey, let's learn the Spider-Man set. It's free. I'll pick up the Spider-Man, you get the Venom or whatever. We'll just go at it. That sounds fantastic. That is a brilliant idea. It replaces the existing ones, which, yes, we're in universe. And yes, we can gnash teeth on that if you'd like. But Universes Beyond makes new Magic players. And I think they were very clear about that in like the earnings call they did, where Wizards has been killing it. They were up 4%, even though they were down like 9%, but released one less set. So one less set only dings you less than 10%, which is crazy. And I think there was a vice president or someone who was just like, Universes Beyond takes people who don't know Magic and brings them into the pipeline. And most of those people want to learn more about what is the in-universe stuff, because the out-of-universe stuff brought them in. The in-universe stuff keeps them going. And I agree. We've had an issue recently, for what it's worth. Hindsight's 2020. But looking back, the hats sets of putting on the race car hat and putting on the cowboy hat, and putting on, the haunted 80s horror house might not have been the greatest idea. I'm glad we did it. You got to know what doesn't work to know what works. But, overall, great idea here. I love that.
Yeah, I think honestly, I guess for people who don't know, these welcome decks have been a teaching tool for the better part of a decade now that they've been available. Actually, closer to like 12 years now, or so. I guess
almost 15, right?
Yeah, and having something like this with the actual Marvel characters on them could be a good thing, because there's a lot of people who set up at conventions and local fairs and whatever's promotional things. So if you're setting up to do demos to teach people Magic, like, you're probably going to get more people interested if you have something with Spider-Man and Venom and whatever on them.
Yeah, for sure. The goal is to turn Magic into a brand that is a popular culture, ubiquitous knowledge brand. Magic is very popular. It is not ubiquitous. People still don't, the general population probably still doesn't know what Magic is. We're very close. We're right there. But, we've got a little bit more to go. And this is the type of thing that will help.
Right. And Evan, to your point, we see people every MagicCon that are like, oh yeah, I started playing because of Warhammer, or I picked this up because of Fallout, or whatever it is. Right. So those people not only got in because of the Universes Beyond product, they got so invested, they built multiple decks and spent money to travel to a convention to just play Magic all weekend. And so it's not like they only bought that set and then didn't buy anything else. They become regular Magic players because of this hook that reeled them in.
And first of all, I mean, I can't, it seems weird to me, like, if you've not had the experience of being like, somebody loves X, now Magic has X, you introduce them to X, there's a whole arc of them going like, oh, this is so cool of how they made X into Y or how they're showcasing this and that.
Mhm.
And like these welcome decks, they didn't come license free. You know, this to me, they paid extra to get these welcome decks into stores and into distribution because, my God, they're going to work so well. Like, hell yeah. If anything, I can imagine they wish they did it with Final Fantasy, but like here they are with Spider-Man, and that's good enough. So I thought that was just absolutely terrific, and yeah. So the set's coming, and yes, we're going to hear more about Tarkir, and yes, we're going to hear more about Final Fantasy, and it's going to be a little jumbled, and we're going to get through it like we always do. Wizards, if anything, has always struggled with this. We push and we pull and we release this and release that, and when do we tell people and how? I understand it. There's no perfect way about it, and everyone's going to complain no matter what.
And you know what? People bitch about it, and then they still show a positive earnings report.
And they still sell. My God, they're at like 43% like profit at this point. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so kudos for that. Either way, let's move on here to another thing. Boy, I'm tired of talking about already, which is Magic's headless, the Polygon.com article where Magic's head designer affirms that the game's diversity efforts mean something to people. Yes, duh. Just a whole thing, this whole turning the letters DEI into some weird boogeyman is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can't understand that, like, not that seeing different types of people and things on cards is important for those who are in the middle of society with those things, you know, it's just ridiculous. I'm just tired of talking about it. It seems weird to me at this point. Dude. And you shouldn't make it like a big issue when we just want to show what different lives might look like in Magic.
Here's the thing. I don't even really think about it a lot till people come up to me, but I've literally had people say that like they came across my content and that made them feel comfortable enough to decide to play more Magic because where they were at, they didn't have any black people that played, or they didn't have any black people in their lives that played Magic. So they weren't sure how welcoming the community was or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like, even without me thinking about it, just existing has had no less than 20 people over the last couple of years come up and say something about it. So it's like, if that means something, then definitely being represented in the product matters to people, right? Like it has to.
Yeah. And go ahead, Ruben.
I think that it's important, even though how do I phrase this? It is important to not get tired. It is important to not get complacent. It is important to appreciate the small things and smell the roses and love when you see the sunrise and understand that not everyone appreciates everything in the same way. I appreciate that we have leadership in our game and we have members in our game who, absent any monetary support, absent any political support, absent anything else, feel like they are doing the right thing and are doing the right thing. And that makes me feel proud of this game. The post that Mark Rosewater made to Blogatog about this issue in particular, I sent to my family and was like, this is a big, a big plus, big check mark for why this hobby is one of the greatest.
And one of the things too, for anybody who has an issue with any of that, understand that if they are appealing to more people, that is more human beings that will spend more money and come to more events. So there's more things for you to enjoy Magic. Like, you should want as many people interested in participating and spending money and whatever. And they're the ones that come to your local store so you can fill out a tournament if you're trying to play a qualifier, right? They're the ones that help keep your local LGS open. Like, you want there to be more bodies. So like, arguing against it is literally just harming yourself.
Right. At its most cynical, it is pandering for dollars. I get it.
Yeah.
But at its most sincere, it is trying to make everyone feel like they can be included in something bigger than themselves, showcasing people. Like, and we've seen every time we've had these milestones of the first trans character and so on, like, it's just this giant wave of like, wow, this is so cool to see me represented, or my world, or my feelings in this.
I have a fun story, actually. When I was at Wizards, it was near the beginning. I was there at the beginning before they had started to preview Vivian. And they had me and a handful of other people basically go into like a private showing of like some different concept art for Vivian. And they showed like all kinds of stuff with her, like going through the woods and like hunting something down with her cloak up and whatever. And we got to an image, which ended up being one of the ones they used, where she's just like kind of holding her weapons and her hood's down or whatever. I literally said, that one. like instantly. And they said, why? It's like, because you can fully see that she is a woman of color with nothing else. Like, she's just this fantasy person in this badass cloak with this like glowing bow and whatever. And like, it tells you everything you need to know, but you still see her as a person.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, cool. like, good explanation. Because
Yeah.
all the others, I was like, oh, that's a cool picture. And like, okay, that's kind of typical. That's what you expect. And at that point, even in my head, I'm like, oh, is she like an elf or like what, what's the deal? And then when you saw like the full shot, I went, oh, well, yeah, we definitely need to use that one.
Also, it's like white people aren't everywhere on Earth. Why would they be everywhere in the multiverse? Like,
that's also fair.
Anyway.
Yeah. So let's move into something silly, right? Let's go to something crazy, crazy silly. Let's have
this was really fun.
This is absolutely
a cute thing.
This is just ridiculous. On Blue Sky, Frank Carson posted that not every champion holds a trophy. This 249 card, 0 land Battle of Wits deck did not win China's regional championship, but it went 3-4.
All right.
3 matches. Had to sit there and watch them lose to the no land Battle of Wits deck. Oh my God. Just incredible. Just chef's kiss, no notes, 10 out of 10, A++.
No lands, huh?
Yeah. So if you're confused as to how a quote unquote no land deck would would function, it's because it's all of the double face land cards, and it is using the Balustrade Spy / Undercity Informer.
This is kind of hot
Elf Mill combo, as well as having Battle of Wits in the deck. Oh, by the way, the win is usually, I guess, with the one of Thassa's Oracle or a Laboratory.
I mean, this is actually like some real thought. There's like Vengevines hanging out in here with some like Imperial Recruiters doing some work.
For sure.
Like there's actually like, this is one of the things that looks funny, but I mean, there's like Charbelchers and stuff in here.
So we got 4 Charbelcher to kill people. We've got Karn, the Great Creator, to go get another Charbelcher, I imagine. Or maybe not. No, this is all
there in the reply. 2 of the wins were against Demir Mill.
Yeah, perfect.
Of course, because they're not prepared to mill 200 cards.
Yeah, I'd probably pack up and go home if I got.
And not just that, you probably still beat them because they flip your Vengevines or something into the yard.
Oh man,
you just go off and get them.
Yeah, right? I just you think how much time and preparation they're sleeving their deck, they're paying the money to play, they're filling out their deck list, and they're getting paired up for the round, and this guy just drops plump his deck, and you're like, but. This was my meta killer. This was
mad respect, man. I'm into it. Like this
good stuff.
This is one of the better Battle of Wits decks I've seen in a while. Like there's a lot going on with this version.
For sure. Every single card in this deck is well thought out.
Yeah, there's like 4 different sub combos and builds kind of just like lined up in there.
All
really
happening.
Cool. There you go. So let's move here to let's see here. Desperate Ravings. Talk a little bit about what's going on the angrier side of things, which is, for example, the Taxman Cometh for y'all. If you won Arena Direct boxes, like the booster boxes, Wizard of the Coast report that has a $250 cash income for each. And they will send you a 1099 on your iPayout account waiting for you. So make sure that you, A, pay attention to that, and B, if you are making more than $600 in booster boxes from Wizards, you should probably just pay taxes on that, because that's if I recall, that's the line. It's $600. But like, even still, A, don't try to hide things from taxes. B, hire an accountant; they're worth it. And C, I was just like, it was weird to me how many people were just like, I can't believe that this is seen as like income. It's like, well, it's winnings. Like it's for value. You can still sell them for money and use them.
Like
whatever.
Pretty sure when I've won cash in their Arena Open things, they send you a thing just like, hey, you owe taxes on these. Like, as I thought.
You know, and if it's a thing, it is. If it's not, whatever. But seriously, I was just like, it was silly how many people were like, taxes? I'm like, yeah, dude.
And that's the same thing. If somebody pays for your trip or your stuff for a convention or whatever, like that could be considered payment as well. So like anytime somebody gives you a thing, assume that you may have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah. And you rather assume than not. More silliness in terms of Desperate Ravings we have. I'll bring it up on the screen here because it's a little silly. PleasantKenobi Noted, would you rather have a box of 12 boosters of shiny Final Fantasy Magic cards? This is our $615 pre-order at the time. Or would you rather get a Switch with every currently released Final Fantasy game with enough money left over for a Pro Controller and a box of Jaffa Cakes? I don't know what that is. That's probably British.
It's a British thing.
It's a British thing.
Yeah.
But it's cookies, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, that's a whole thing. That's infinite dollars for what you want out of your entertainment.
Mm-hmm. That's so absurd.
That's crazy.
What a goof. What a fun jape this has been.
It is a wild thing, but I mean, who's to say that collector's box is even going to stay worth the $600? It might go significantly more than that by the time it launches.
It's true.
Or one of the random inserts, as we've seen from other sets, could be $300, $400, $500 by itself. So who the hell knows?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot. I think the thing I think that we've just seen is that Final Fantasy is a powder keg in ways that I don't think anyone is prepared for.
Oh, yeah. I've been telling people, like, I honestly think it's even going to sell more in Japan than it does in the US.
Oh yeah, for sure. I will do that as well. And and to know that it took so very long and they worked so very long to make that set, it's great to see it happening. All right, let's move on here and turn the corner to the finisher.
We've got a splash damage. Are you kidding?
Okay, we got if you really want to talk about the Monopoly movie, I thought it was kind of
no.
cute.
We'll just touch on it. It's fine.
It's fine. They're gonna make a Monopoly movie.
They're gonna make a Monopoly movie.
They've been talking about making Magic, TV shows and whatever, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But if they can make the Lego movie work, any movie can work, no matter how silly.
I mean, if you'd have told me Monopoly Go was gonna be at damn near $4 billion or whatever, I would have laughed at you.
True too.
I mean, might as well. I mean, that's literally, I saw the Monopoly movie thing and I went, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where we want to be. We want to get to that ubiquitousness that Ruben was talking about, where, everybody knows the thimble. Everybody knows the guy with the top hat, right? Everybody knows community chest and the railroads and the utilities and all that stuff. There's certain things that are so ingrained, no matter the fact that it's a Monopoly as a game system, the fact that we're treating Magic as a game system. And first of all, I've always opted for that. I've always campaigned for them to use Magic as a game system because it's exactly how you bring in people. It's exactly what's happening. Mm-hmm. But either way, I think the Monopoly movie could be great, and they got apparently some really good writers for it, and we'll see what happens.
Sure. Great.
All right. I don't know. We'll see.
That's it.
That's all you got. That was your splash damage, y'all. That's the best we got. It's not Magic, but it's kind of Magic, but it's sort of Magic, but it's not. We turn the corner.
It's Hasbro.
Yeah. And technically it's Lionsgate because they bought the E1 thing from Hasbro a few years ago. But all right, let's move on here. Turn to the corner to the finisher. It's time to talk about the Potato Head Beholder. Now, we have a surprising reveal from the GAMA Expo. WizKids is adding a Potato Head Beholder to their D&D Icons of the Realms miniature collection. Now, this is so absurd. I'm going to bring this up on screen real fast so you guys can see this.
Yeah, because let's get some context.
You need to see.
I'm kind of here for this.
What's happening?
Me too.
I mean,
look at that guy.
I get that people want to hate on this, but it's kind of amusing.
No, I'm not hating. This is incredible work.
It's incredible.
If I ever do another live stream, this is my villain. I'm running this as my bad guy. It's great.
It's a whole heck of a lot. All right, so let's go back here to the finisher. Sorry. I had to show y'all. You had to understand what we're talking about. Now, that said, we scaled to fit a D&D size. The set comes with eye stalks and rays, a big old central eyeball, and then all the other potato head fixins. So tell me, what other toys are you hoping to see in your next D&D game, Ruben?
Well, as you well know, I'm a Barbie girl, and I would love to live in a Barbie world where my party of heroes come together, where they all, as you might imagine, meet in a dream house.
A dream lodge, if you will, right? Ooh,
sure.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right. Power Dragon?
Well, I've obviously got cars on my mind with Aether Drift since we've been heavily entrenched in that over the last few weeks. So I'm interested in seeing some Hot Wheels. They're already about the right size, and there's nothing more fast and furious than rolling for initiative.
Hey-o. Look, I'm ready for the most popular Christmas toy of all time to come to the board. I'm excited for the big red monster to ruin some lives, because there is no better TPK than a total party tickle me Elmo. Pow, just drop the elbow and the Elmo. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
Man, do y'all remember
Man,
when
that was
Elmos
good
were
writing,
going for
Evan.
like $1,000 that one Christmas in like
yes.
'97 or whatever?
It was the most viral thing before viral was a thing.
Like that's crazy to even think. People were paying $1,000, $1,200 for just a damn Elmo that laughed.
It was Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was it was Jingle All the Way was the
It was
that the one?
Jingle All the Way.
That was Jingle All the Way. I got the wrong Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero was a satire of action movies and it was brilliant, but I won't get into that.
It was very good.
All right. That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, as always, good to be here, but I got to go back to the mines of making more magic content.
That's right.
Thank you, Ruben.
See you soon, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Next week. Moving here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon and Ruben Bressler, viewers like you for watching and listening. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us on our exclusive member Discord, subscribe to our Patreon, watch us live on Twitch, join us live or taped on our YouTube channel, check out our TikTok, and follow us on Blue Sky. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.